Well, I'm showing 2:35, so I want to be respectful of people's time. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll have to catch up other people as they come in.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
And hey, Eric, this is Wes. I actually just wanted to kind of kick things off really quick, and then I'll turn it over to Raquel. I have gone ahead and started the recording, so we have this as a leave behind for the folks who couldn't be with us. And Raquel, you guys have the benefit of having Raquel do the training. She has a teaching background, and it's very, very facile in our system in terms of using it. So you got the big gun today. And just for folks on the phone, kind of our roles, I've done a lot of the implementation work with Eric and team, and we've done a fair bit of iteration on the site to get it kind of ready for today. And I'll be, over time, kind of stepping out of the support role, and Raquel will be, stepping more into the support role. So, we're both here to help, but generally speaking, most of the day-to-day support stuff will be transitioned over to Raquel. Eric, I'll work a little bit more with you on that transition when the timing is right. But without further ado, I'll kind of turn things over to Raquel, and appreciate everybody joining.
Thanks, Wes. So yeah, my name is Raquel Ramirez, and I am going to take you through the dualenroll.com system that we have with Cascadia College tonight. There are three interfaces as part of this product. There is the student's interface, so what the student will see and do, the high school's interface, so what the high school will see and do, and then the college's interface. And we will be able to look at all three of those. Although I am quite certain that the ones you're probably most concerned with are going to be the student interface and then the high school interface. So we'll take some time to go through all of those steps. We're also going to take a registration completely through the workflow from start to finish, so you can kind of see that all. Having said all of that, I do just want to kind of set the stage in that it's very, very informal. So if at any time you have questions, please feel free to just interrupt me and chime in. I try to take pauses at various spots, or certainly at the end of every sort of interface to ask questions, but please don't feel like you have to wait. If you've got something to say, just go ahead. It's a very informal kind of training session. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so before we get started, we'd like to talk, or I'd like to say that the platform is sort of browser agnostic, as we'd like to say. And I guess what that means is that you can access our site from anywhere or any device that you can access the internet. So you can use whatever browser you like, Safari, Google Chrome, Firefox. You can use a desktop computer, a smartphone, a tablet. So if you can get to the internet, you can get to our website. And that's true for all the users, the college users, the high school users, and obviously the students. So it's pretty easy to get to. You do have your own unique website, or Cascadia has their own unique website, and that will be the website that you'll be looking at. For today's training, we're actually going to be on what we call the dev site. So you'll see, let me share my screen here.
Yep, I was just going to ask you. Yep, sorry.
That's okay. So you'll see, we're going to be working off of the dev site. Can everybody see a login screen now?
Yes.
Perfect. So we're going to be working on a dev site, and the dev site is an exact mirror of the live production site, but it just lets me make fake students up without actually having them attend Cascadia College. So the dev site is kind of our testing site. It's an exact mirror of what you'll see when you're in the live production site, but it just gives me some flexibility to go ahead and create things for the training session. So the website up here that you'll see that I'm on is cascadia.dev.dualenroll.com. The website for the live site just does not have that dev in it. So it'll be cascadia.dualenroll.com. And I think that we can send that information out with the credentials that you'll get for your logins, but it is a unique website to access the system for Cascadia College. All right, so we're going to actually just jump right in with the student interface, and we're going to start there because the student is actually the party that kind of initiates this whole thing, gets the ball rolling. So the student will go to the unique URL for the platform, and they can either log in with an existing account, or most of your students are going to be brand new to this, so they will click here on this link to create one. It says, please log in. If you need a login, click here to create one. So I'll go ahead and click there. And then I'm going to go ahead and make up a fake student. So the first thing that the student has to do is they have to give us some information to go ahead and create a dualenroll.com account. This is not necessarily all the application information. It's just the minimum that we need to make their account. And most students are familiar with this if they make an iTunes account or an email account, etc. The drop-down menu will show the high schools that Cascadia College is working with, so we do get that list from them. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Woodinville for this particular exercise. Let's see, the student will go ahead and make their own login and password. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go with Katniss Everdeen as the student, so they'll put their name. And we're going to do a birth date. And then the student can give us one of these, an email or a cell phone. It will be the way that we contact them, the preferred method of contact. They are able to give us both, but they are required to give us one. You'll notice that the fields that are required are marked with this little red asterisk. So I can either give a cell phone or an email address. The red asterisk is down by the cell phone simply because that seems to be the best way to get a hold of students. They don't pay much attention to emails anymore. For the sake of the demo, I'm actually going to use an email. And then only because I can show you the emails, I could not show you my, my cell phone. And then I'm going to click this, I prefer not to provide a cell phone, and you'll notice that that little red asterisk moves up and that I've met that requirement with the email address. If they did give us a cell phone, then we would be sending alerts and messages to their cell phone via text message. The last thing they're going to do is confirm that they are in fact a human by clicking that little box, and then they will click on register. So this is them registering for a dualenroll.com account, right? You'll see after they do that, it says you've signed up successfully. Please check your email for instructions on how to confirm your account. So if the student had entered a cell phone, the message would be slightly different. It would ask them to enter their text code. We would have instantly sent them a confirmation code via text. There is a link down here that says need to enter your text confirmation code. And if they click on that, they would enter the cell phone and then the code that we just sent them. I should also mention that there is a link here for if students forget their username or password. So in theory, a student will be doing this process every registration window, so every term. And so if they have forgotten what their username or their password is, they can click on that link and have the system help reset that. But our fake student went ahead with an email, so the confirmation code is going to be in the inbox. So let me go ahead and switch over to my email real quick. All right, so here is the first email that our student has gotten. It says, welcome Katniss, can you please confirm your account by clicking on the link below? So the student will do that, and it takes them to what we call the pre-registration screens. So the pre-registration screens are a series of screens that the student is asked to fill out, and it's information that is required by Cascadia College. You'll see up here that there are 5 steps, and we are currently on step 1. You'll see that the student can navigate next and to previous. You'll also see that those red asterisks are here, again, indicating that it's a required field and must be filled out before they can go to the next screen. And you'll also see that we've kind of pre-populated anything the student already gave us. So they already gave us their name, and they already gave us our birth date when they created their account. So we're just asking for the rest of this information. Email has already been filled in. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in some fake information. I'm going to leave the city blank so you can see what will happen if they try to go on without a required field filled in. Okay, so everything seems to be filled out that has a red asterisk at the very least. I've left city blank. If I try to click on next, the system will not allow it, and it'll throw up a little message that says your city can't be blank. You must fill that in. So I'll go ahead and fill something in, and then I'll click next. The second step of the pre-registration process for the student is to read and accept the Cascadia terms. So there is a little box down here that says I have read and agree with these terms and conditions. Students probably read it as thoroughly as they read those iTunes terms and conditions, but the student will not be able to move forward unless they have checked that box. So if I try to click next, it says you have to check the box and agree to the terms and conditions to move on. You'll also know that throughout the process there might be some hyperlinks where the student can get more information. So in this particular statement, it was about qualifying scores for Cascadia. If they were to click this link, a new window will pop up with information from Cascadia about that. And the old window is still here, right? The dualnull.com window is still there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the I have read and agree to these terms and conditions, and then click on next. The third step in the pre-registration process is for the student to give us a parent name and email address. We do need to secure parental consent to take a class, and so we're going to be doing that via email. Again, I can show you what that looks like when we get to that step of the process. So I'm going to go ahead and type in some information. Okay, and again, red asterisks are required, so we'll click on next. The fourth step is for them to review some information about FERPA disclosure. Again, there is a link here that has additional information in a form that they can review, so I'll go ahead and click next. The fifth and final step of the pre-registration process is going to be for them to confirm their high school counselor. So you'll see that the high school is already listed here and they cannot modify it. They gave us that information again when they created their original account. In the drop-down menu, we will go ahead and display the approver, I guess. It's not really the counselor. I believe the instructors are the ones who are going to be doing the approvals and review for Cascadia. So we will have a list of those parties in this drop-down menu given to us by Cascadia. Again, on demo, it's just kind of a test. Bill High School admin and instructor. Students will also have an I don't know and a not listed. Regardless of which of these they choose, the high school approver will be able to see all students, right? So it's not like it limits your view of them. So we'll pretend that the actual person's name was in here as the approver for this particular high school. Student will select it, and then they will click Finish. So the student has finished the pre-registration steps, which are all the data that we had to collect. The next step is for the student to select the course that they wish to register for. So you'll see that the student has a list of courses available to them. This list is restricted by their high school. So Cascadia College has told us which high schools should be able to see or access which classes. So students are not going to be able to see classes that they are not eligible for or that are in a different building, etc. They will see the classes that are available to their particular high school. There's a number of filters that can be used along the side. You'll see that we have a little cap icon to represent that class is being held at a high school versus an online class or at a college campus, days of the week, keywords, and terms. These filters become very useful if the student is navigating a huge list. Oftentimes we see the list is manageable. You know, it's 2, 3, less than a dozen classes that are listed. So the filters aren't as helpful when it's but they're certainly there. So for Woodinville High School on the demo site, it looks like they have these 5 classes to choose from. We're going to have Miss Katniss Everdeen go ahead and take American Government. So she clicks on American Government. It takes her to a description of that course. So we have a course description, we have credits. Again, these are all provided to us by Cascadia College. And then if there were more than one section, which I believe there will only be one section for you guys, those will be listed here too. So there will be one section of American Government, and the student indicates their desire to take that course by clicking on the register button. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the register button. And after the student does that, it brings them to their status kind of tab or screen. So it says American Government was successfully added. It shows them the class, any information we have about the class. So it's a Cascadia College at this high school during this term. It also shows them the next steps. So what happens next is that the high school has to approve the enrollment. It also shows them the status of things that are going to be required, where the registration is pending, the high school permission is needed, payment is going to be required. So the student has information at their fingertips as to where they are in the process. They can log in at any time and click on the status page and see kind of an updated list of what's going on with their particular registration. The other thing to realize is that there is an abandon button for the student right here. That abandon button is also available to the high school approver, so you could abandon a class on behalf of a student, but the student is able to do it themselves. If they click that abandon button, it basically sends a request to abandon the class, like I've changed my mind, I don't want to do this, or I switched classes, etc. If the student wants to add additional courses, all they have to do is go right back to the Courses tab. So I'm going to click on the Courses button, and I'll be taken back to that list of courses that I'm able to take. If I want to take another one, like let's say Calculus, I click on the class. Again, there's a description. I select the one section, click Register, and it shows that on my status screen. So I can see the 2 classes that I have asked to take, calculus and American government, as well as kind of the sequence of steps that have to occur after that. Other things to notice on the student interface, they can go back to their profile. So this was information that the student gave us, their address, their birth date, etc. A student can also click on their name. So you'll see over here is their name. There's a help link and a help desk button. Both of these will take them to our help desk page where they can enter a ticket for us to resolve. There's the logout link. But if they click on their name, it allows them to go ahead and update a cell phone or an email that we're communicating them with, or we also have them changing their password. So if they need to do that, they can do that after they've logged in. That's pretty much it right now for the student interface. The student has done their part. They have created an account, confirmed that account, completed the pre-registration screens, and selected their courses. And they can do that in one foul swoop. There's no need to kind of stop and start. Are there any questions about the student interface before I log out and put on my high school hat?
No, I don't have any.
Okay.
Me neither.
I'm going to go ahead. All right, perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and log out as this student. And I'm going to switch gears and log in as a high school approver, the instructor. So in our example, Katniss Everdeen attends Woodinville High School. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as that particular high school. Again, this is our kind of test demo system. Whereas Katniss, or the students, had to create their own user accounts, your user accounts are created for you. So Cascadia College tells us who will be the approvers at which high schools, and we create logins for you, and those logins will be given to you. And then you can certainly change your password to something more secure, but you do not create your account. So high school staff are not going to click here to create an account. That's how a student does that. High school and college users are issued credentials to log in. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as our fake or test high school, Woodinville High School. So you'll see a couple of things. This doesn't look super interesting at this moment, but it's because it's demo data. You are immediately brought to the dashboard tab. You'll also see that you have a few more tabs than the student did. The dashboard tab gets more interesting over time. So we start to kind of display the information that's in the system. So as more students start to register, we'll give you a number of how many started registration versus how many completed. Maybe 20 kids started the process, but 3 of them were declined, so only 17 were actually enrolled in the class. So we'll have 2 different line graphs about applied versus completed. We also can, if you start working with another college partner and they work with dualenroll.com, we can show kind of the distribution of students at different colleges. We can show a distribution by subject. So if you have English and history and math going on, we can show how many students are in English versus history versus math. If your students have the option to take a class online or at a campus or at a high school, we'll show the breakdown of those 3 locations. So it looks pretty dull right now, but as you use the system term by term, it becomes quite handy to have information at your fingertips. You can hover over it and it'll show you exactly what those counts are. So right now on the demo, we have 7 students that are taking an unspecified subject, and 7 of those students are all 100% are taking them at the high school location. The place that you are likely going to live is going to be on the Students tab, right? So the high school approver is going to have to look at what the students are trying to take and approve those selections. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Students tab. And you'll see the default view for the high school user. It gives you an alphabetical list of the students, and it actually gives you 2 alphabetical lists because any student that requires your attention is going to be floating up to the top and highlighted in bright yellow. So you'll see the first alphabetical list kind of ends right here with Effie Trinket. And then we've got another alphabetical list down here. The reason for the 2 is because this alphabetical list, these students are on a step that does not require your attention. You can still see what's going on with them. So if a student came up to you and said, what's going on with my class, you could search for them and you would say, oh, well, hey Mitch, we're waiting for your parent. Looks like you're on the parent provide consent and payment step, right? But the first list up near the top is going to be highlighted bright yellow as it indicates that the high school has a task. There's a lot of information on this screen. You'll see that there are these little plus symbols that allow you to expand. So if I were to click on the expansion right here, it shows me more information about that class. If I were to click on this show link, it would show me again all the things that are required for this particular class. It's kind of the same view that the student has on their status screen. You'll also see that you have that abandon button, just like the student does, so you can go ahead and abandon a class. And again, you'll be able to see the students that are in a different step that are not assigned to you, just to kind of know where they are in the process. For the parent consent step, there's also the ability to resend this to the parent. So if I were to click this link, it'll say the parent consent email was resent to Shirley Abernathy, and that happens to be Hamish Abernathy's mom, right? You could also change that email address. If Shirley calls you and says, I never got this email and it's because you have the wrong email address for me, you're going to go ahead and click on the change icon and it will let you update that parent's email address and resend it so it's actually going to the correct location. The other thing to realize on here is you've got a couple filters up at the top as well as a search bar. So if you were looking for a very specific student, let's say Hamish, you could go ahead and type in his first or last name, click enter, and it would take you to just that student so you can see exactly what's going on with that particular registration. You can also change the view for term. Obviously, we're just starting, so fall is going to be the term that we're looking at, but you do, as we kind of go, you'll be able to look back in time and see what happened in previous terms, or you can click on all terms. There's a variety of ways that you can also kind of organize the information. So right now, you'll see that high school approved enrollment, almost all of these students require that step, right? There's several of them that need your attention. We are viewing by student, hence the alphabetical list, but if you go ahead and change the view to view by step, it's going to keep the same information but just display it differently. So you'll see here is the high school approved enrollment, but I've listed all the kids underneath that need that task completed. You'll also see that we've got 2 kids in college review forms. Notice that it's not yellow because it's not the high school's responsibility. We've got 1 student in that parent step. If you are not in the step view, if you're in the student view, to complete each one of these, you'd have to click on them one at a time. So I would have to click on this particular link for Seneca Crane, that student, and it will ask me whether or not I approve of the enrollment. So it shows the student's name, the class, and then it does have a link here where if you wanted to see the form that we have so far collected, this was all the information that this Seneca Crane student gave us, address, birth date, etc., right? So there is a link there. It does open in a different window. So here's the window, but you'd have to do these one at a time if it's in the view by student display. If you change that to view by step, you can just click on the high school approved enrollment and you can batch process them. So here are all the kids in that step, and you can just go right down the line, yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, yes, no. Decide later, we'll just keep that student in the active yellow step for you to look at a different time. And again, all the students' name, classes, and then their enrollment form so far is here available for you to access. Does that make sense as far as batch processing?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
The other thing to realize is that sometimes if you were to say yes and the student got sent to the college and the college says no, it will be sent back to you, but you'll see that there are some comments set from the college. So I was doing testing earlier, and Alan Rickman was one of my fake students, and I declined him as the college, and the college wrote, student is not eligible, he's too young to participate. So on this page, you will also be able to see comments from the college if they were to return a registration back to you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So for the sake of the demo, I'm just going to hang out here with Katniss Everdeen, so I'm just going to do maybe one of her classes. So I'm going to do it by student so I can do it individually. I'll go with her American Government class. I'm going to click on my little step here. I'll click yes for Katniss, and I will complete the step. And that's definitely not supposed to happen. Is it, Wes? Okay, hang on a sec. Let's see what happened there.
I'm sorry, I was in another screen looking. What did you just do?
No, that's okay. I just approved it, and we got a weird error message, which is strange because I've been doing these all day, and of course there was no error message at that time. Let me try it one more time here. Katniss, approve. Oh, it's definitely giving me the approval. I just got an error message that one time. So if we look at the screen, you'll see that Katniss, it was in fact approved, her math class and her history class. But I'm not sure why I got that error message. So I'm going to make a little note about that because, like I said, I've been in there all day today, and I haven't seen it.
I'll do a quick test.
Okay.
Too. you can continue.
Okay, thanks, Wes. I appreciate that. Yep. So you'll be able to go ahead, and that's the one step that is currently assigned to the high school, is their ability to go ahead and approve the student's enrollment. So you have the option to say yes, no, or decide later. And you can do that in batch processing or one at a time. Are there any questions about that before I log out and log back in as the college?
No, I'm good.
No, nope.
Perfect. The only other thing that I wanted to show you really quick, so let me log out as Woodinville High School. I also had a test school for Inglemoor. So I'm going to go ahead and log in for that really quick. The only reason I'm going to switch to Inglemoor is because I did quite a bit of testing in Inglemoor, and so I've got a lot of registrations in there. But every single high school will, come to their dashboard. They'll click on students to see all of their students. So this is what Inglemoor's tests kind of look like. You'll see that when a registration is complete, it says registration complete as a status. So again, you'll know when everybody is finished. But on your dashboard, something that is quite useful for every high school is this link right up at the top that says download completed registrations. This is going to be live data, so every time you click on it, it's up-to-date live data, and it kind of gives you an Excel list of all the registrations that are completed. Kids are enrolled in those classes successfully, kind of like a roster. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link. It'll prompt me to download the file. It should pop open. Everybody, are you guys seeing an Excel sheet right now? Maybe not. Let me see.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
There it is. So in the test, there were only 3 students that had completed registrations. It is an Excel sheet, so you can go ahead and filter. But we go ahead and have the student's name and the course that they want. All of these guys are in math, the term, the instructor, etc. So at any time, you can kind of get an up-to-date listing of what's going on or registrations that are going on with that particular institution or school. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log out as the high school, and I'm going to log in as our third user, and that happens to be the college. Okay, so here's the college interface. You're kind of getting to see behind the curtain. The college, again, has different tabs. They do have a dashboard, and they do have a students tab, just like you do. You'll see that their dashboard also kind of shows information that gets more interesting with time, and just like you, they're going to live in this little students tab.
Hey, Raquel. I'm not. Oh, here
There we go.
Okay, I wasn't.
Sorry about that. I had it on pause. Yep. So
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let's go back to the dashboard then. So this is where the college logs in. They see the same kind of screen that you would. It has data about all of their schools. They have a lot of different tabs up here at the top, and then they are going to click on their students tab just like you would to go ahead and go through that registration process. So unlike you, they will see students from all high schools. You will only see the students at your high school. So here's Seneca Crane, and here's our student Katniss Everdeen. You'll see that all of them are in that college review form step. Again, you'll see that it's highlighted yellow for this user, which happens to be the college. You'll also see that the college can see everybody. They're just not highlighted in yellow if it's not in the college set. And again, the student or the college can change their view, so they can view by student or they can also view by step, just like the high school can. So there are quite a few similarities. So we'll go back here. I'll work with, let's say, Seneca Crane, and I will click, or Katniss. We were working with Katniss, I think. Click on the college review forms. Again, the college gets to see the enrollment form. They can click yes or no. They can send some comments back to the guidance counselor if they're going to say no. So I'll go ahead and do that really quick. Okay, so I completed that step, and so Katniss, you'll see that she just has her math class. We already approved her her history or her government class. You'll also see that the college has an abandon button as well, so they can abandon registrations for the student. And they have a search bar, so if I go search for Katniss, I can pull up the 2 classes that she has. You'll see that American Government is waiting on the parent consent, and that the calculus is waiting for college review forms, right? So they're at different parts in the workflow, if you will. That's really it for the college. They get to go ahead and review everything that's been collected at this point, and then we're going to move on to the parent completing consent and payment. Are there any questions about the college interface before I show you that?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to log out, and I'm going to switch over to my email. So can everybody see my email inbox?
Yes.
Perfect. So while I've been clicking around in the system, you can see all of these emails have gone out, all of these notifications. So the first one that we ever received was Katniss saying, please confirm your account, and she did that. And then it said, great, you confirmed your account, welcome aboard. There was also an email that went to the parent that said, your student has started the registration process. Be on the lookout for some emails from us. The high school is going to review the request, and then we will email you for consent and payment later. So we kind of give the parent a heads up that there's been a process initiated. The high school approver gets an email every time the student kind of pushes a task your way. So every time a student is in high school approved enrollment, you will get an email. And I can show you how to turn off the frequency or adjust the frequency of those emails. And I'll do that before we wrap up the session. But you, as the high school approver, will also get a notification. Katniss, the student herself, gets a notification that she started the process for American government. I think the rest of these are about her calculus class, right? So there's a few more here about the calculus class. This one is the one that just recently fired. So as soon, I'm sorry, I think somebody might have their speakerphone on so I can hear kind of my echo back.
It might be me. Yeah, I have my, okay.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So this is the email that fired. And the parent got the email that says, this is it, you're up. Here's the class that the student wants to take. Please click here to give your consent. So a couple things to notice. The parent doesn't actually need a login, right? They don't have to create an account. They don't need a password or a username. They're just going to have to click here on this link. So let me close a few windows here. It's getting a little busy. Okay. So I click on the link, and the parent receives this screen. They can enter their name, indicating that they give their permission, and then they will have to enter a credit card or e-check for payment. So let me go ahead and make some stuff up. And then we'll go ahead and click complete. You'll notice that it does say your bank statement will have a charge from dualenroll.com. And then a receipt will flash on the screen for the parent to print. Are there any questions about that parent piece?
No.
No.
I'm good.
Perfect. So I'm actually going to log back in as the student. The student is automatically brought to their status screen, and they can see what's going on with these two classes. So the government class is listed as complete, and you'll see that each of these items say complete. Registration complete, permission complete, payment complete. You'll see the calculus one is still in progress, so that says it's on the college review form. So again, the student status page information kind of updates in live time. Are there any questions about that?
No.
No.
Okay. And then the last thing to kind of show you is there are some additional emails that are going out. So you'll see that the parent, the student has been notified that we've gotten consent from their parent. The payment has gotten that receipt emailed to them for their payment. And then the student has also gotten a congratulations, you're enrolled, right? So as soon as the American government was listed as a completed registration, the student is given an email that says, you have been completed, everything's good to go, you are enrolled in that class. And that kind of wraps up the registration process.
So is the parent the only one who gets the email to pay?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's
And
kind of the
is
registration
payment-
process from start to finish, and that the student starts it, they kind of complete the application after they create and confirm their account, they select courses, it moves on to the high school for approval, it moves on to the college for approval, it moves on to the parent for approval, and if all of those approvals are positive and the payment has been secured from the parent, then the registration is listed as completed or successful.
Okay.
Are there other questions or things, Eric or Wes, that you guys would like to add? Because that's kind of the gist of the registration process.
So I was
Um,
sorry, I missed the beginning. So I'm sorry, at the very, very beginning, where is the link to go to? Is it this
We
page?
did record the session, so that way people who had to join late or, and so I believe that we'll give that to Eric to forward on to people who need to see it. But there is going to be a unique URL given, and it is cascadia.dualenroll.com. On my, see that it says cascadia.dev.dualenroll.com. That's because we're using our test site right now. But the real site will be cascadia.dualenroll.com. And the students will initiate an account by clicking here to create one. It says, please log in, need a login, click here to create one. And that will start the process off for the student where they have to start giving us information.
And are we the one to distribute the link to the student? I guess. Right?
I might actually turn to Eric for information on that. That's typically how we see it go, is that the approver or the high school will give the student some guidance on where to go to start that process. I've seen it be as little as like a half sheet of paper with a few steps typed up on it, or they put the website on the board in the classrooms that are eligible for registration. I've seen some schools herd the entire class down to a computer lab and have them all register at once. So I think there's a variety of ways that it could be accomplished, but I will kind of turn to Eric for how he might recommend that be done.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just give you a quick rundown, and I'm going to put this in an email to everybody since we had a lot of folks that couldn't attend the recording today. But our quick timeline is looking like this. Next Tuesday, I will go ahead and send the instructors a sheet with some basic registration information that you can give your students. We plan to open up the registration window on the 27th, Thursday, and give students 2 full weeks to go ahead and sign up. So if you have anybody sick or absent for any time during that period, as long as they can get access to the internet in that 2-week window, they should be able to go ahead and get registered by the 10th. As instructors, you can log in during that time and be approving students. We're going to give the high school instructors until the 14th of November to approve the students that have registered for their course. We think at the college we can turn those around in a couple days and approve them on our end, which will kick off the email to the parents, hopefully no later than the 17th of November. And we're going to give the parents until the end of November, November 30th, to go ahead and make their payment. So almost 2 full weeks then to make the payment.
So the instructor PIN number or whatever that thing we were using before, that's obsolete? Remember like last year when we were
sorry, thank you. No, the PIN number, that PIN number was for entering grades in the instructor briefcase. You'll hang on to that.
Okay.
This is just the registration process we're talking about today.
Okay.
If there aren't any other questions, I did want to show one more thing really quick. So I did log in back as our example high school, the Woodinville high school instructor. And if you click on the name, so it would actually say your name here, you can also go ahead and change your password, but here's also where you can change the frequency with which you get email notifications from our system. So again, our system's going to send you an email when there's a task that needs your attention, like approving an enrollment for a student. You can get one for immediately, every single time there's a task, or you can get it daily or when there are 5 tasks waiting for you, and so you just click on that box, or weekly, or when there are 10 tasks that are waiting for you. So that way you're not getting quite as many emails. So you can certainly go ahead and change the frequency with which those notifications get sent to you as the high school approver by clicking on your name once you're logged in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
They did.
One final question. That abandon button scares me. What if like I click abandon by mistake? What happens?
Yes. Oh, that's a great question. So it's not really that scary, I promise you. There's actually, as soon as you click on abandon, so I should be showing my screen again for Woodinville, and there's a bunch of students here. Let's say we take Hey Mitch and we abandon it. So I'm going to click on that abandon button. We do kind of send a request as to why we wanted to abandon it. So Hey Mitch changed his mind or switched classes. Place the request. There is a way to unabandon it. So you'll see for Hey Mitch it says abandon requested by Woodinville High School, and there's a little unabandon. So if you change your mind, we can click on that link and it would go ahead and unabandon it. So there is a kind of a do-over button. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yep. So hopefully not too scary.
No, it's not.
I guess I have a question for Eric. What if a parent pays after payment is due, and what if the student changes their mind? Do we, as a high school teacher, abandon, or would the college abandon? How would we? Is that even possible? Can we abandon at that point?
Once the high school and once the parent has paid, the student's been registered, the only option they're going to have would be to withdraw from the course. They wouldn't be, and that would, their payment would be lost. They wouldn't be due a refund, but they would be able to drop the course and still get a W, a withdrawal of the course if they get it by the deadline. And there's a separate process outside of this for that, and we'll make sure that we include that in the instructions that we send to the teachers next week.
Okay. Okay.
Hopefully, because we're starting the enrollment period later than we typically would here, the students who've been in your courses now for 6 weeks should have a good idea if they're doing well enough in your course, whether they would want to attempt for the college credit or not.
Right.
Okay, well, that's all I really have to share. Certainly if Wes or Eric have other things to share, if there are other questions, we have time to do that. We certainly got, I think, like another 15 minutes in our 1-hour slot, so we've made some good time. But I have nothing more to show you on my original list, and I will just kind of leave it open to Wes and Eric and further questions, or I think we could probably wrap it up if there's nothing more to talk about.
This is Wes. Nothing from me. Turn to Eric.
Okay.
Raquel, how soon until you'll be able to get me the later today or tomorrow?
I'm sorry, get you what, Eric? I missed that.
The recording from the audio session.
Oh, certainly. Yep, we can get you the recording. I think Wes or I can both access it, and we'll get it to you.
Great, thank you. You're
very welcome. Okay, well, I think that that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. You'll get some more information from Eric, and if you run into any trouble at all,